very near the Great Park. And so this item regarding a homeless shelter on the consent calendar, I really would like to have a little bit more information shared with the public about this proposal and where we are with it. And so I'm going to turn to staff and ask if you would please describe, first of all, for the public, where exactly this 100-acre parcel is located so that the general public can understand where it is located, why it's in such a sensitive area, how it may affect us depending on what the county decides to try to put forward as a plan for use of that property. And then please do give us an update on where this proposal made by Supervisor Sean Nelson sits at this present time.
We are happy to. Principal Planner Joel Belding has been helping me on this from the outset, and as he prepares to make some remarks, I would note that, and I think you were clear at the end there, it's not a county proposal. It was a proposal suggested by a single member of the Board of Supervisors. There is no county proposal as such. That said, I placed the item on the agenda. The City Council, to a person, has made inquiries of me and is very interested in Supervisor Nelson's proposal. It's on the agenda to ensure that the public understands that it's important to you, and that you know that I know it's important to you, and that Joel is helping me monitor that and strategize with me on your behalf to represent the City of Irvine's interests, both as I understand them and as would be played out should this proposal resonate with members of the Board of Supervisors and take on a greater life of its own. For now, it was pitched and it has not been supported by members of the board, to my understanding. That said, we're going to continue to monitor on your behalf and take your direction as we proceed on behalf of the City of Irvine. Joel, do you mind sharing, answering Mayor Pro Tem Schott's questions, and so I'll help along the way.
So I don't have a formal presentation at this point, but just to go over a couple of your questions. So the location proposed, the 100-acre parcel, currently it's a split ownership between the Navy, which still has some remediation work, so the large buildings that are out there on the site that's located on the south side of Marine Way, basically east of Ridge Valley, which is generally at the main entrance for the Orange County Great Park.
And running parallel to the railroad tracks from Sand Canyon, actually from the entrance of the Great Park inward.
Precisely. So the county ownership today is basically just south of where the Orange Bullet is, for an easy reference point. So that's all, it's a currently vacant land, unimproved, no power, no water, no physical improvements, no sidewalk, no vehicular access apart from a deteriorating access road in that area. So no specific location within that ownership has been proposed, but generally, obviously, located adjacent to the Orange County Great Park, there's potential for nuisance. There's no county law enforcement facility within the area. Any potential calls for service would likely fall on Irvine Public Safety to address. That's another potential impact. There are a number of state guidelines that describe what an ideal facility is. This proposal falls, at least in my viewpoint, falls far short of those guidelines. This appears to be a free-for-all facility for up to 200 beds within a temporary tent. Shower and bathroom facilities would be provided in portable trailers. And then there's some description of security fencing at the site and some service workers being made available to the potential users for the site. But there's a detailed response memo that was prepared almost immediately after Supervisor Nelson put this proposal forward that identified primarily a number of questions that would need to be addressed for the city to make an accurate assessment of the proposal, and also identifying some deficiencies, at least in our viewpoint, as to how this facility would need to be supplemented in order to be a successful facility rather than just a potential nuisance within the area. So detailed intake procedure, whether this facility is designed to accommodate families as well as individuals, whether there's segregation between those families that are in just a temporary need versus potential people with mental or drug addiction issues that would need to be addressed, the amount of on-site services you need to make this a successful facility is well above and far more complicated than what's proposed in the Supervisor Nelson concept. So that proposal was made on May 9th. Rather than being agendized for any public discussion on May 23rd, there was a closed session review of this proposal. with the specific title being focused on potential litigation from the 3 cities that were identified. That's Huntington Beach, Santa Ana, and Irvine, anticipating potential litigation from those cities as a result of this proposal. We've seen no further agendized action or discussion for this item, so it appears at least to be on hold at the county level, but we're just waiting additional information in order to better evaluate this.
Meanwhile, it should be said that Joel is working with an interdisciplinary team, city manager's office, community development, and public safety. So we'll continue to monitor, meanwhile working with the city attorney and standing at the ready to bring special counsel on board to the extent that that would help us advance the interest of the city council as we understand it. But of course, I think the next step would require that we would come back to the city council for specific direction so that we're responsive to your collective wishes in this regard.
And then when it comes to the proposal in the past to develop this land as a very large office and commercial center that would undoubtedly throw a monkey wrench into any development plans that we have at the Cultural Terrace and the remainder of the Great Park area, where do we stand with respect to negotiations or talks with the county on that plan?
Let me jump in here because I've actually been involved in some of those talks. I have met Supervisor Nelson personally and with his staff at a second meeting to talk about the 100 acres. There are further discussions that are going to be had, also involving, it is my understanding, Supervisor Spitzer, who represents the Irvine area and really should be at the table on these discussions. And at this point, it's premature to say where those discussions will end up, but it is not premature to say, as I think the city manager has indicated, we are watching it closely. It's curious, 3 sites that Supervisor Nelson identified for the homeless center, none of them were in his district. And it is my understanding from members of the board that he didn't sunshine those sites to his own colleagues, much less to the cities that would be impacted. So there's much work yet to be done between the cities and the county as to homelessness, as to what happens on that 100 acres. I will say, and maybe you saw in the news reports that were given to us by Craig Green just this week, I did have the opportunity to work with Mayor Bernstein in Tustin on the issue of homelessness, and there's a mayor's council that has been put together. We were looking at options for homeless solutions. Those meetings involved Supervisor Doe. So it's fair to say that this is a problem that's got everybody's attention, but that there are, at this point, no proposals, certainly no substantive proposals that anybody has identified that are pitched as solutions. And we remain vigilant with respect to the use of that 100 acres. However, the county ends up wanting to use it.
And I would like to hear, though, from the city manager, because I know that he does continue to have different meetings. What is your update on that?
I do. I am in regular contact with the county CEO, Frank King, also a proud Irvine resident. We speak regularly on all issues where I've got council direction. He speaks to the extent, as I do, that we have liberty to speak on behalf of our respective boards. So I talk with him regularly about OCFA issue, the 100 acres issue, homeless issue. I think I'm missing one, but we're in regular contact with respect to with respect to the 100 acres. My conversations with him are directly in line with our response to the county's proposal. We have a thorough, and I'm very proud of the response that we have prepared primarily by community development and the city attorney's office in response to the issues that we take with the gross overdevelopment proposed for the 100 acres. And I continue to take the position that reflects, of course, the city council's position, critical of the proposed overdevelopment of that site. Mr. King is well aware of that.
Great. Thank you so much. And this is something that we do have to keep an eye on. It will affect us if some of the proposals or some of the ideas that have been floated actually come to fruition or are pursued on that particular site. And it would be unfortunate if we find ourselves having to be in competition with the county rather than county facilitating the successes of our cities.
Thank you, Councilmember Shea.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, I appreciate the staff has brought this forward. It's very important. We're getting a lot of calls and concerns by residents that how's this all going to be worked out and set up. And so I do want to thank the mayor for your efforts and the city manager. And any updates you can give us on a regular basis to keep us informed, so our residents are informed, I would very much appreciate it. So thank you so much for your updates. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Also, receive and file items, so I don't need to take any further motions on the matter. And 3.8, pulled by Councilmember Shea, the Parks Master Plan.